Hey y'all, welcome to Killer Queens, a true crime podcast. I'm your host Torella, and like most millennials, I've always had an obsession with true crime. On KQ, you'll find light true crime stories, millennial hypes and gripes, some adult language, and maybe a special guest here and there. Just like a 90s sleepover, we're just a couple BFFs hanging out, so gather round and let's launch right into it. Hey y'all.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. This is part 2 of our 2-part series on the Idaho Four Murders. If you did not listen to part 1, now look, I'm not your real mom. I never will be. If you want to go part 2 first, that is your prerogative.
Yes.
I would suggest you do part 1 first just to get the whole thing, but that's whatever you want to do, you know?
It's none of our business.
Yeah.
Handle it how you see fit. But in case you are unfamiliar with this case, unfortunately, we're not going to have like a real good resolution for you because we were supposed to get a trial and we did not. So,
yeah.
But we did talk about maybe doing that as a mixtape as more information comes out that would have been featured in the trial. We talked about maybe making that a later episode.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Because more and more documents are getting released. They're kind of doing it in groups and things like that. So we will continue to get more information. I don't think we will ever have a real why.
I have some speculations about the why.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they're purely my opinion, but I don't think I'm wrong. I never do.
You usually don't. Yeah.
Listen,
it's so
confidence
funny.
and delusion will take you far in life.
It is so funny, like how opposite ends of the spectrum we are. Because you're like, I mean, I never think I'm wrong, and my first is I am 100% wrong. I know that I can't be right about this.
Well, it's not that I never think that I'm wrong. It's that I never let other people think that I think that I'm wrong.
I like
confidence,
like
even
that.
when it's fake, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It'll open a lot of doors for you.
I think so.
If you girl boss hard enough, you too can get too close to the sun. And that's what happens to me regularly.
Well, I can't wait to hear those opinions, allegedly. And okay, so we're going to get back into the case. So we kind of left off after the murders occurred. We are now going to get into the investigation into the deaths of Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Ethan Chapin. So let me scroll back to where I'm supposed to be. There's a lot of... and thank you to Madison for writing this one up. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, girl.
All right. So
you
not
crushed
long...
it.
Oh, what?
I said she crushed it.
Always. Not long after the murder, investigators announced that they did not suspect either of the surviving roommates. They did not think that they had anything to do with the murders.
Yeah.
Did that stop rumors online?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. To this day, to this very day, people still think that they had something to do with it.
Which is, number one, sad.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, insane. Like, if you know anything about this, how do you think they had anything to do with it? You know?
There are whole groups of people, they call themselves the pro-burgers, who think that Bryan Kohberger has been framed.
Okay. These are, I'm going to assume, a similar group of people who are like, oh my God, Ted Bundy's so hot. We want to marry him. We love him. He's 100% innocent. Oh my God, Charles Manson was amazing. We love him. He's amazing. Like, is that the kind of group that we're dealing with here?
I guess. I just don't understand and we'll get into the evidence that we have. Yeah. But like, come on, y'all. Let's look alive out there. Like, let's pay attention.
Yeah.
So the main question I think that people had, at least initially up front, was why was there such a gap between the time that the murders happened and the time that the 911 call was placed?
Yeah. For that, I would submit to you, college students, who are hungover.
Mm-hmm.
Have we not lived our lives properly to know why there would be this gap?
Exactly.
You know?
Like, okay, so when information about Kaylee and Maddie's cell phone activity before the murder became public, questions and accusations were thrown toward Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack. They'd been together for 5 years. She'd broken things off with him about a month before the murders. They were still really good friends. People kind of thought they might get back together.
Yeah. Wait, was Jack white hoodie food truck guy in the video? Was that Jack or was that a different person?
I think it was a different person, but...
Okay. I couldn't remember. I know there's like a whole thing about food truck guy.
Yeah.
And there was a whole thing about Jack. And for some reason, I was thinking that food truck guy was Jack. And that's why they were talking. But like also she was kind of ignoring him because they had just broken up and like whatever. Maybe I'm wrong, but I might be misremembering that.
I could also be misremembering. So I don't know.
Okay. Either way.
Olivia, Kaylee's sister, said that her sister's phone records revealed that just before her murder, she had called Jack 6 times between 2:26 and 2:44 a.m. And then between 2:44 and 2:52 a.m., Maddie's phone called Jack 3 times. At 2:52 a.m., Kaylee made one last call to Jack's phone. All 10 calls went unanswered. Olivia told News Nation that it wasn't unlike Kaylee to call Jack several times and that she was probably trying to see if he'd come over. Okay, they're still up, And she said Kaylee had no shame in that kind of power calling if it's Kaylee, said Olivia.
Yeah.
Regarding the growing conspiracies that Jack was involved in the murders, Jack's aunt said, quote, "They're just the most ridiculous conspiracies. He's not only lost the love of his life and what we all thought." Wow, I'm putting wrong emphasis everywhere. Okay. He's not only lost the love of his life and what we all thought, and he probably thought as well would be his future wife, get married and have kids and all of that. Also, like just the internet. Can we have a meeting?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Like,
listen, whatever we want is what we're doing.
Yes. Like just putting brutally murdered 4 people. I have no reason to suspect that other than you are an ex-boyfriend or whatever. Sure, yes. The police need to look into this person 100%.
Absolutely.
Let them do that. Now, did they do the best job with everything? I don't know. But
yeah,
we can't just be ruining people's lives.
Exactly. And I think part of the problem here is that the police aren't saying anything. And I don't know if it's at this point because they don't have anything. Obviously, this is an ongoing investigation. So there's already a limited amount of information that they're going to give us anyway. Like we know that. Mm-hmm. But they have left so many gaps in the story for such an extended amount of time,
right?
That it is allowing people, or I guess encouraging people at this point, to fill in the gaps on their own. Mm-hmm. And while they are trying to kind of put those rumors to rest, it takes them time to clear people. So like if a rumors spread faster than police can clear a suspect or person of interest, right? So like the fact that Jack is being just railed online as the potential murderer here, that spreads so much more quickly than the amount of time it takes for the police to clear him. Mm-hmm. And people don't backtrack on rumors online. They're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was wrong. Moving on. Mm-hmm. Some people move on. Some people don't move on. But there's never a let's walk that back.
Exactly.
And how do you walk that back online?
Yeah, the shit's out of the horse already. Like you're not putting it back in. Like
exactly.
That's just how it is. And they, so all these suspicions came on Jack. Of course, there were tons of suspicions on Dylan and Bethany. Mm-hmm. And like you said, look, people are like, they didn't hear anything happening. Okay. I mean, we kind of talked about this in episode 1, but like, this is a house where people were expected to be. There are 6 or 5 roommates.
Was it Madison had potentially moved out? So yes.
No, Kaylee had potentially moved out, right?
Oh, Kaylee. Okay, I'm sorry.
Kaylee, Maddie, Dylan, Bethany, Xana.
Yes, it was
5 roommates.
Yeah.
Each of those, and then Ethan was there all the time. So that's kind of like almost the 6th roommate.
Yeah.
They would have people coming and going. It would not be unusual for you. Like anybody who ever went to party houses. Like,
yes.
I used to, the place I used to party out in the country or whatever, you'd wake up in the middle of the night. There'd be people just getting there that you passed out somewhere. You wake up, you're like, and all these kids have been drinking all day. There are so many times that like, you're just like, I don't know who the next morning you wake up, you're like, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You don't know who
did you get here?
Yeah. And then anything could have happened and you'd be like, I didn't hear that. I didn't know anything about that. I was so fucking drunk that I did not know any of that happened. Like There was one time this guy passed out at our house, and for whatever reason, I decided he was really cold. He was not cold. I thought he was cold. And he was passed out on the floor, and I put a blanket over him, and then I got back up, and I was like, simply not going to do. And I took because we lived in a very old house, I took this huge, like, portable, it was like a furnace, but a plug-in thing. I mean, it was big, and it was a lot. And I put that thing really close to him. And I turned it on because I was so worried that he was cold.
You're like, he's going to get hypothermia.
Yeah, and he slept through that for quite a while. And then, like, a couple of hours later, he woke up and he was like, oh my God, I thought it was, like, on fire. And, like, but he didn't know. And, like, there would be times where I'd wake up, like, in the middle of the night or the next morning, and people I did not know would be in my house looking for their friend to come pick them up. I'm like, how'd you get in here? I don't know. They would have to walk through other people's bedrooms because the way our house was set up, like, nobody knew it.
Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I'm going to throw this out there. Sometimes I think in these situations, the people who are speculating online, I just don't understand how this could never happen. I could never imagine a scenario, blah, blah, blah. What you're telling me is you're not a fun person, okay? Mm-hmm. Because as soon as they were like, there's a however many hour gap in them going to bed, and why did nobody call the police until 11:30 in the morning or whatever time it was, like it was around noon, right? I don't understand how they could have been dead that long and nobody would have called the police. Like, oh, okay. So what I'm hearing you say is you've never had fun before, because at this setting, at a college age, knowing what we know that is documented in photographs from that day, this 100% makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
and there are times that like nobody gets up, nobody's stirring around until like 11 or 12 the next day, and then you're like, all right, let's go eat Mexican. Let's get something greasy in our bellies so we can get back to the drinking tonight.
Exactly. And like when people have these just appalled reactions of like, how could you? I could never. Like, okay, well, maybe you could never. But this is not uncommon behavior. It's not this
uncommon. And also,
scenario.
These are kids who their first thought is not
exactly
somebody has murdered 4 people in this house. Also, he murdered them in their sleep. So there wasn't a lot of, there was not screaming. There was not a lot of fighting. There was not, he caught them unawares. Like it's, I don't know. It's just, whatever you think about them, it's really ridiculous to try to put any onus on them because they didn't do anything. Like
100%.
And they didn't know what was happening, and they were clearly in shock once they figured out that they were dead. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So remember, Dylan had seen a figure in black on the 2nd floor. And so those reports, along with the phone records of the victims, led police to believe that the murders were committed between 4 and 4:25. We do get one latent shoe print. It was, it had a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the sole of a Vans shoe just outside of Dylan's bedroom. The knife sheath that Officer Payne noted to be laying by Maddie's body was tan leather with several stamps on the outside of it, including K-Bar and USMC and the Marine Corps Eagle, Globe, and Anchor insignia. The Idaho State Lab processed the sheath and found a single source of male DNA on the button snap of the sheath.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay, so that's kind of what we know initially, right? And then on December 6th, which is 3 weeks after the murders, the Moscow Police Department announced that they were seeking the public's help in locating the driver of a vehicle that was near the King Road residence, and they believed may have information about the murders. So the vehicle was identified as somewhere between a 2011 and 2013 white Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate, which I feel like is not an uncommon vehicle, especially like they didn't even have a partial plate at this point. They were just like, here's the years, here's what we think we're looking for, right? So they put out this call like, hey, if you see one of these, if you have one of these, if you know anybody that has one of these, like, let us know. And they end up getting several tips about this vehicle. And I think at this time they were also like scanning the registration for the state, right?
Yeah.
Of like, they were also trying to figure out who owns this car and like that kind of stuff, right?
It's just, these kind of things are my favorite because Mr. I'm going to get away with this. And then appears on so many fucking like Ring doorbell cameras and like,
oh my God,
bro,
I know.
Let's think about the day and age we're living in. You can't go anywhere without being on some sort of camera.
And what we find out about him and like his obsession with these kinds of things, like these are always one of those times where you're like, thank God you missed a step because you knew enough about certain parts of this that we never would have caught you. Most likely.
Yeah.
So like, thank God you missed.
He is
completely missed step 2 or what, you know what I mean? Like,
he's why we have a you dumb bitch sticker. Like,
exactly. Yeah. But I mean, thank God you are.
Exactly.
So Kaylee Goncalves, right?
I think it's Goncalves.
Goncalves?
Isn't it?
I thought we were calling Goncalves. I don't remember. This is Xana's mom, right?
No, Kaylee's mom.
No. Okay. Yep. You're right. Goodness. It's been a minute since we did this first one. And now I'm like,
we're a week in between.
Sorry, guys. Okay. So anyway, she told NBC that her family found out about the lead regarding the vehicle at the same time that the rest of the public did, and that the police had not communicated it with them, which I feel like is a pattern in this case. Again, let's remember that the police department here has not done any sort of murder investigation in the last 7 years. And God knows how long it was before that. This is a college town. They do college crime, essentially. So like theft, vandalism, underage drinking, like that is their bread and butter. Murder is not.
Yeah.
So they're not communicating with the families to let them know in advance, which I would be pissed.
Yes,
if I'm the family, I'm showing up at the police department and I'm like, how dare you make me find this out at the same time as everybody else?
Right. And I understand that the police are not under any obligation to share anything with family. However, especially if you've already gone on and done your press conference and said this was a targeted attack, okay? These kids were targeted. Why would you not then take that information to the family and say, hey, there was a white Hyundai Elantra seen. It was around these years. Do your kids know anybody who drives that? Is that ringing a bell to you?
Exactly.
If for no other reason, not even
start with the source
or whatever
of information.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Well, and especially because Ethan's sister and brother go to the same school. They have the same friend group. They know they're together all the time.
Exactly.
2 of the roommates that survived would know who's at the house all the time. Like, you've got this source of information that you could have started with and you didn't.
Yeah.
And of course, the rest of the family is critical of the police department as well. And they're pissed about how information is being released and being kept in the dark. And it's Kaylee's dad that says, I got outraged by them not just coming out and saying that this was a woman or a man because they should have known by the amount of strength it took to deliver the injuries. They're just being cowards. There are girls walking around the street right now that deserve to know. They should be looking out for a sadistic male. Because again, the police department is not even like, we think it was a man. We think it was a woman. But at this point, they do have the single DNA that's male, right? So like we've already got that, but you're still not saying, hey, we think it's probably a guy. Although there are so many crimes, and I'm just going to profile real quick and be like, as soon as I hear the facts of it, I'm like, oh, that was a dude. 100%. And I mean, if you look back through what we know of criminals, women who commit crimes tend to commit crimes differently than men do, especially when they're planned. Like, we're not talking about crimes of passion, impulse type things. Planned murders, women historically plan different than men plan. They're usually not super violent. Physically.
And it's usually not like crimes of opportunity necessarily, stuff like that.
Yeah. Not that it can't be, but typically, it is not.
We are typically, with something like this, we are looking at a straight white male.
Typically.
And we've covered like 500 something cases on this show, including our Patreon. I encourage you, if you want to argue with that, go back to every single case and you tell me who committed it. and let's get some numbers.
I hear these things and my brain immediately goes, oh, this is the work of a white man.
Oh, yeah.
And listen, I am married to a white man.
Yes.
I have a son who will be a white man one day. And I would like for them to not be this kind of white man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there are some things that you hear it and you're like, I have a real good suspicion of what we're looking for. I'm not an FBI profiler, but I feel like I'm not wrong, you know?
Exactly. And like the better question than, whatever it is that people are going to say, because, it's not all, of course we know it's not all men.
Yeah.
Of course we do.
No.
Like you said, we are married to white men, but the better question is, why is this the case? And what can we do to prevent it?
Exactly.
What systems are in place that are allowing this to be the majority of violent crime like this?
Yeah.
Like there is a pattern here. So let's try to identify why. So we can make it not be a pattern.
Exactly. In the same interview, Kaylee's dad says that the coroner described her injuries as tears and big open gouges. She said it was quick. These weren't something where you're going to be able to call 911. They were not going to like slowly bleed out again, which would explain why they didn't hear anything, because there was nothing to hear.
Right. It happened so fast.
Oh, God. Yeah. So he said that his daughter's wounds didn't match that of Maddie's. He said they may have individually died from the exact same thing, being stabbed, but there are more details. He also said that the coroner reported that Xana had defensive wounds. And he said it was a hell of a battle going on down there from what the coroner told us. So again, it doesn't sound like any of them other than Xana had a chance to fight back. And Xana was also in the room with Ethan. And I think that's probably why she maybe had a chance to fight back. If one of them woke up or if she hurt, like, you know what I mean?
Well, if she had left her room to get that DoorDash order.
Exactly.
And ran into him in the hallway, it seems like Kaylee or Maddie were the target.
Yeah.
It kind of seems that way to me.
Yeah.
So if they were the target and that's what he was going to do, I don't know, because he also did leave. And there's theories on why he didn't do anything to Dylan and Bethany.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe she ran into him in the hallway or something, because Dylan did hear somebody say, I'm not going to hurt you, or I'm going to help you, or something like that.
Yeah.
Ethan was in the bed. Well, and
she was also not in the bed when they found her.
And Ethan was in the bed, so it's likely that he was asleep. She had gotten up to get her order, ran into him, and he had to, quote unquote, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
Yeah. The whole thing is awful. But what we don't know as the public until much later is that investigators had obtained an extensive collection of surveillance footage from the area around the King Road house and nearby neighborhoods. The vehicle that they were searching for, which they referred to as Suspect Vehicle 1, was seen on multiple cameras in the neighborhood beginning at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. in the morning of the murders. It showed that the vehicle passed by the residence 3 times initially, which I found interesting. Like, obviously you're casing the house at this point, making sure nobody else is showing up, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you're watching. Why else are you doing that? Yeah. Officer Payne, in his statement, said, based off my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. So to see this same vehicle circling, it's not like this guy was Uber and he happened to drop off 3 people. You know what I mean? Like, he's not pulling in, people are getting out, going in, and then he's leaving. And then it's not that. Like, it's very clear that he's just kind of doing a drive-by situation at this point.
Thrice.
Which is a lot, especially at that hour of the day and in that short of a time span.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how you explain that any other way.
Right. And the fact that what happened during this time period or the time period thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty concerning.
So, per the probable cause affidavit, the white vehicle entered the area again for a fourth time at 4:04 a.m., driving eastbound. Then the vehicle turned around and drove west down King Road, stopping in front of the residence. It looked like they were attempting to park or turn around in the road, but then the vehicle continued onto the intersection of King and Queen Road, making a 3-point turn and driving eastbound on Queen Road. So, like, you're doing some weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? You know?
And, like, so many opportunities to be like, you know what? No.
Exactly.
So many opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. And we did not take any of them.
Like, how do you psych yourself up for something like this? I can't even, like, just to make a difficult phone call. I'm a mess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, knowing that you are going to walk into somebody's home where you've not been invited, that's a choice.
Yeah.
And that, oh my God. Like driving by, like.
And the confidence it has to take to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, like, this has to be a situation where you have to know, if I don't do this with confidence, it's going to go bad immediately. Like, I have to walk in here like I own the room.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's going to fall apart immediately. And that is wild.
I just don't. I mean, obviously, we'll never understand because what the fuck?
No. So then the next movement of the vehicle is at 4:20 a.m. as it departs from the area of the residence at a high rate of speed.
Okay, so now we're fleeing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, it's like those people at the fucking Coldplay concert. If when the camera turned to you, if you'd acted normal, nobody would have thought anything was off.
Exactly.
But you didn't. So now you've driven by this place 3 times already. You've done some weird turning around stuff. And now, after the point that we know that these children were killed,
now you want to speed away.
Now you're speeding away.
Yeah, you got to listen. If you're going to play it cool, you got to play it cool.
You got to play it cool the whole way.
Again, this is a misstep. Thank God.
Exactly.
So more footage shows the vehicle continues down the road that would lead to Pullman, Washington, which is about 10 miles away from Moscow. Pullman, like Moscow, is another small college town home to Washington State University. So the affidavit continues to explain that WSU gave police access to their video footage in hopes of locating the suspect vehicle. After analysis, they found that on the morning of the murders, not murderers, at approximately 2:44 a.m., a vehicle consistent with the suspect vehicle was traveling on a road in the direction of Moscow. More footage caught the vehicle continuing in this direction. At 4:25 a.m., about 45 minutes after the murders were believed to have been committed, a vehicle matching the description was seen on 5 different cameras in Pullman and the WSU campus, traveling in a direction that would lead to Pullman from Moscow. So there's a lot of detail in this. That's just kind of like a summary of what happens. But my question on this was, why did they immediately... I mean, not immediately, right? Because I don't remember what day it is that we start looking at this. December 6th is when they put it out there. So, I mean, it's been like 3 weeks. But it was interesting to me that they reached out to the other university. Like, I mean, I'm assuming they reached out to other people as well and like were pulling traffic cameras and like stuff like that. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that they were like, hey, other university, show us your footage.
Yeah. Well, and the path that he took, there's a very direct route from Moscow to Pullman, but that's not what he took. He took this like long kind of going through residential neighborhoods and like going through all of these things where you're like,
it's 10 miles. You could have been there in like 15 minutes.
Why wouldn't you just go the direct route? You're clearly trying to throw some stuff off. I mean,
and especially at this hour of the morning.
Yeah. Oh, and it was at 5:25 a.m. You said 4:25, which is fine.
I'm sorry.
But I do feel that somebody will correct us. So just saying, it's written as 5:25. Sometimes just words happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this a long time. I'm not going to let him come for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having my back. I do appreciate it. It did say 5:25. And then right after that, it says about 45 minutes. And so I just transferred those things.
Yeah.
But also positive that he drove through all those neighborhoods is that we've got Ring doorbells. And so we can see you.
What did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
a missed step in the planning.
Mm-hmm.
Or a step that he planned, obviously, but didn't fully flesh out.
Yeah.
So on November 25th, the Moscow PD asked surrounding law enforcement agencies, including the WSU police, to be on the lookout for a vehicle matching this suspect vehicle. And during a search of WSU's registered vehicles, because if you are living on campus, you typically have to register your vehicle, right? They look for white Elantras, and one was identified with a Pennsylvania license plate, which was registered to Bryan Kohberger, who lived in an apartment less than a mile from where the suspect vehicle was last seen on camera. Interesting, no?
Mm-hmm.
So police are looking into this guy because they're like, okay, he obviously went this direction. It seems like it kind of lines up. At this point, they were looking for vehicles registered in the state. So he probably wouldn't have pulled up, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he was registered in Pennsylvania.
Right.
So they start looking into him and they find out he is a white male, 6 feet tall and 185 pounds, all of which are consistent with the description that Dylan has given us of the man that she saw on the King Road house that night. On December 23rd, they issue a search warrant for his cell phone records.
Okay, so there's a lot of information about the cell phone records. Again, like we said in episode 1, this is kind of a high-level overview of this case because there is so much. So we're going to summarize the best that we can. The phone records revealed that Kohberger's cell phone was pinging in the area of his apartment at 2:42 a.m., the morning of the murders. At 2:47 a.m., pings were consistent with the movement of the white Elantra, and then the phone stopped reporting to the network, meaning that it had either been turned off, was put in airplane mode, or was an area with no service. It does not start reporting again until 4:48 a.m. Also, it just when you do this, when you make your phone not report to the network for whatever reason. And that is unlike your normal cell phone use or activity.
Yeah. Or if you don't have like a plane ticket that shows why you had to be in airplane mode for this, but like, come on, man.
I mean,
just leave your phone at your apartment. Why do you need it?
Exactly.
Why do you need it?
Exactly. But,
But thank God.
Yeah. So the probable cause affidavit explains the phone's movements in detail, summarizing with, quote, based on a review of the phone's estimated locations and travel, the phone's travel is consistent with that of the white Elantra. Additionally, further analysis indicated that the phone also pinged in the area of leaving Kohberger's residence at 9 a.m. on the morning of the murders and then traveling back to Moscow. The pings placed the phone in the area of the King Road house between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m., you dumb bitch.
The dumbest bitch.
The dumbest bitch. Then it is consistent with traveling back towards the Kohberger residence and arriving there around 9:32 a.m. And remember, so if he's seen or if the phone is pinging at the King Road place between 9:12 and 9:21 and he's already back to where he lives at 9:32, again,
there's no reason it took you 45
minutes. You're like all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
About 10 miles would take about 17 minutes to drive. Police believed that this last phone activity was Kohberger returning to the crime scene to watch the action unfold. Fucking creepy. All of this evidence led investigators to believe that Kohberger was the driver of the suspect vehicle and that the approximately 2 hours that the cell phone was not connecting or providing pings, he was trying to conceal his location. All right.
Shocking.
Exactly. So detectives start quietly digging into Bryan Kohberger, his personal life, his work, his family, all of these things. They wanted to know everything about the person they believed could have been driving the suspect vehicle on the night of the murders. So, Bryan Kohberger grew up in Pennsylvania with his parents and 2 older sisters. His father was a maintenance worker and his mother worked with children with special needs. He went to Pleasant Valley High School, where some said he was withdrawn and a bit awkward. He was overweight, which led other kids to pick on him. Casey Arntz, one of his classmates, told ABC News in the King Road Killings podcast that Kohberger wasn't a monster when she knew him. She said she was even friends with him. She said, quote, "We would laugh, we would talk, take walks around the neighborhood, play some games. He was just another normal kid to me. There was nothing that really stood out about him," which I think is part of his problem.
Yeah. So I would say this is a quote from something, and I don't remember what, like not anything like super famous, but like I have heard it in passing. Monsters are often made, not born. You know what I mean? Like, there are some that they're just born this way, like Lady Gaga, okay?
Yeah, sure.
But most of them are a product of their environment. I think Kohberger probably has some underlying things happening, but I don't know that and I think he probably had some tendencies that his environment triggered. So do I think he was like a natural born sociopath?
Right.
No.
No.
But I think he probably already had those tendencies. And if he was maybe bullied as a child, and then we'll find out some other things about him in a minute too, I think he was one that was already like maybe predisposed. Like this was like a pre-existing condition kind of thing. And we've got to get under the right circumstances for it to come to fruition.
Right.
And I think that's what happened here.
Yeah. Because everybody who like would have known him prior to like high schoolish and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Prior to when some of these bizarre behaviors started to come out, the word you kind of heard about him was unremarkable, essentially. Like they would use other words, but it's like she said, there was nothing that really stood out about him. Well, that's a problem for him.
Yeah.
He must stand out. This becomes increasingly a problem, and it becomes everybody else's problem.
Exactly.
They can't see how much he should be standing out, specifically women.
Yes.
But also specifically men. But
yeah. He really could have benefited from a feelings chart.
I mean,
in his
my God.
bedroom. You know, this is why understanding our emotions and being an emotionally intelligent human being is critical.
It certainly cuts down on violence.
It certainly does.
But what do we know?
Nothing.
During his teenage years, he started struggling with a condition called visual snow. I had never heard of this.
Never heard of it.
It causes people to see flickering dots in their field of vision, kind of like TV static. So think like early 90s, the Snow Channel, you know?
Yeah.
The one, you know, the channel you couldn't get on your TV. That's essentially, I guess, he would have like that in his vision. It can also be related to anxiety, depression, and insomnia. He wrote online about how hopeless he felt after developing the condition, connecting with others who also suffered from it.
I don't know anything about this condition, but I know if I had it, it would drive me insane.
100%.
Like, can you imagine?
No.
Goodness. And if it's triggered by, or if it can be triggered by anxiety, depression, and insomnia, those three things go along with so many other things. And like, how do you know which one is the culprit, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes if I'm in a funk, if I'm having like a mild little depressive episode, I won't sleep because my brain is churning. You know what I mean? But like, is the insomnia the problem or is the depression the problem? Sometimes when I have a little depression episode, I get anxious. Was I anxious first or like, you know what I mean? Like all of these things kind of feed each other. They're like a cycle.
Like one begets the other. And
exactly. Yeah. And you don't know which one to target. But also those three things are so common with other mental or disorders and things like, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of the extras that go along with other mental disorders. I feel like they tag on. They're like the extra little razzle dazzle you get with any other issue you've got going on, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and he eventually he figured out that changing his diet helped with the symptoms. And so he started eating better. He started working out more. He ended up losing quite a bit of weight. I mean, you know, by the time he's arrested, he's fucking
he's
rail
in good
thin.
shape.
Yeah. Like he's especially comparatively. And he is tall. He's kind of lanky looking to me. Very gaunt in the face almost. Like, you know.
Yeah. He seems like one of those guys that like, did you ever know someone who was really overweight and then they got super in shape? And so like girls would start paying attention to them and then they became absolutely insufferable.
Yes.
And you're like, I liked you so much better when you like, it's almost like they were more self-confident before and now they're just like arrogant.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like maybe he had a little bit of that going on, although I don't know if he was ever confident to begin with. But he definitely got the arrogance piece of it seems.
Yeah. And he, like people had said, you know, once he lost the weight and he started getting healthier, he started to seem more confident, which they initially thought was going to be a positive thing. And then it kind of went the other way. He ends up during his senior year of high school and for a time afterwards using heroin. And that
what a gateway drug.
I was like, oh my, I was not expecting fucking straight to heroin.
Yeah, no, that is a leap.
But here we are. He went to drug parties and would ask friends for rides so he could buy heroin. Like, this kid's like 17 years old.
Yeah.
How do you even get access to that?
I don't know. You just say, hey friend, I'd like to buy some heroin.
Yeah. Like what? That scares me.
I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to look for this stuff.
No. He did. I don't know. Eventually, though, he did go to treatment for his addiction and he got clean, which like,
that's great.
Good for you.
But also, if you already are struggling with mental disorders, all of these issues, like if you're already depressed or anxious or having insomnia and all of these things, and then now you're doing these hard drugs, like I'm not saying that, you know, weed, marijuana, pot, whatever, doesn't affect your mental health. It does. I'm not arguing that. But like heroin is next level.
That's 0 to 60 right there.
Oh my God, yes. Like, and
I don't know
if you're already struggling,
stuff,
like it can't be, I mean, maybe. I can't imagine that you just jump straight into heroin. I'm also not a recreational drug user, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it seems like if you've already got these other issues going on and then you do this thing too, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, big time. In 2016, he started working as a security guard at the same school district that he graduated from.
Also interesting choice. I feel like in this time period, he's made a lot of interesting choices.
Yeah.
Where like, as we were going through this and preparing for this episode, I was just like, Okay. But it's also starting to paint a picture for me.
Well, yeah.
Not a good one.
No. In 2018, he earned his associate's degree in psychology from Northampton Community College. He even made the dean's list at one point. After that, he transferred to DeSales University, where he continued his study of psychology before focusing on criminal justice. In 2020, he earned his bachelor's degree and began working toward his master's degree online, which he did obtain in June of 2022. In his pursuit of a PhD in criminal justice, Kohberger decided to attend Washington State University, and then he moved into that student apartment in Pullman in the fall of 2022. Being a PhD student, he was required to work as a teaching assistant for undergrads. He was described as a loner by one of his classmates, and that same classmate told People that Kohberger made negative remarks about the LGBTQ plus community. Are we surprised?
No.
Another classmate told ABC News that Kohberger had a crush on a female classmate and continued to ask her out despite her saying no, and just staring at her and making her really uncomfortable. His effect on women became so apparent that students began keeping a record of every time that he was disrespectful toward female professors or skipped one of their classes, and they did eventually go to the university about their concerns. And in that same semester, Kohberger applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department.
Yeah. I remember this from the one night in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
They talked to whoever it was at the police department that interviewed him. I don't remember if it was Officer Payne or not, because he's in that one a lot. Right? It was Officer Payne. I don't remember. Either way, I don't remember if he's the one who actually interviewed him. But he says like his resume, his application looked great. And so they were feeling really optimistic when they interviewed him. And they said when he got in the room, just like his demeanor and the way he was answering questions. They were like, whoever's talking, he was like, I could just tell that he was not going to be a good fit. Like, he was one of those guys that, like, on paper is exactly what you think you're looking for. And in an interview, you're like, oh, okay. Okay. So interesting. So obviously he did not end up getting that, which I think is another, like, chink in his armor, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like none of these things that we've talked about him individually are damning necessarily, but there's a lot of red flags and they're all starting to paint one red photo. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. And like around the same time too, like he doesn't get this internship that he wants.
Yeah.
He's getting in trouble in his TA position, which means he could be losing his tuition, his medical insurance, his stipend, all these things. He's getting turned in for, making other people uncomfortable and doing all of these things. Like, it's just, there's a lot of things happening where he's starting to come apart at the seams, it seems like. And even though he's trying to tuck in his bizarre behaviors and the way that he believes, other people should be treated and that kind of stuff, it's coming out still, and he's not able to, like, keep it in check anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
So they end up, like, surveilling him. He goes on a road trip, like, back to Pennsylvania to be with his family, I think, for, like, the holidays. He gets pulled over 2 fucking different times for tailgating.
Okay, and this pissed me off because in the one night in Idaho, the guy, they show him, you see the body cam footage of the stops, right? And the first guy pulls him over and they're like, hey, you're tailgating, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he had any, like, previous traffic violations or anything like that, whatever. They let him go with a warning. And he's, like, super calm, super cool. He's driving. His dad's I think he's driving and his dad's in the passenger seat with him. Either way, his dad's with him. And they're like, no big deal. Just don't do it again. We'll let you go with a warning. And then not too long after, same road trip, he gets pulled over again for doing the exact same thing. And this police officer is like, he tells him, I actually just got pulled over for the same thing. And the officer goes, oh, okay, well, if you already got pulled over and they only gave you a warning, I'm going to let you go with a warning too. Like, why? Yeah. Why? Because he just told you he literally got pulled over for the exact same fucking thing. He's clearly indicating to you that he is not respecting the warning. He doesn't care.
Right.
Give him a fucking ticket.
Exactly.
Would the ticket have stopped anything? No, because the damage was already done.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. Like, he's exhibiting behavior that is clearly indicative of the fact that he does not think the rules apply to him.
Exactly. He's entitled.
And even when he's confronted with that, he still doesn't fucking care. If you're not going to respect the traffic laws, you're not going to respect the other laws. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those situations, like, I understand there are varying degrees between murder and a traffic violation, right? But it's one of those where it's like the way you respect the small things, I feel like is indicative of how you respect the big things. Because why would I ever expect you to be respectful of a major serious issue if you repeatedly demonstrate that you can't even be respectful of the basic common sense ones? You know?
Well, exactly. And it is wild that, like, you can just be like, oh yeah, well, I already got pulled over for that once. And I obviously I'm just spitting in your face by continuing to do it. And they're like, okay, well, I'll just let you go. Sorry to bother you.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, our bad. My bad. You've been warned. Oh my God, I had no idea. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Carry on.
It's wild. They end up collecting some trash from the outside of his parents' house at Pennsylvania, which then they can match to some of the DNA on the knife sheath. They end up matching his DNA to the knife sheath. And then on December 30th, around 1:30 a.m., law enforcement breached the Kohberger family home and arrested 27-year-old Kohberger, charging him with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary.
Yeah. And when they're arresting him, right? When they go in to arrest him, he's in the kitchen and he's pulling his trash out and sealing it in individual bags to be thrown away elsewhere.
With gloves on.
With gloves on. So are you trying to tell me that this man didn't know, didn't think.
That's some wild behavior.
That's strange behavior.
Mhm.
You know, the cops are digging. Like, do you think he knew? Oh, I just hit the mic. Sorry. Do you think he knew that the cops were already going through the trash? And that's why he started doing it? Or do you think he was already doing this? Because that is such a strange thing to do. You know? I don't know. All of it just, I think that he just was exhibiting signs from the beginning. And I don't think any one person necessarily was seeing all of the red flags. I think different people were seeing different ones. And the red flags they were seeing were not giant. I mean, obviously he was like somewhat aggressive towards women, which was not great. He was, not doing well at his job. Again, not great. But none of these things, when you're only seeing that part of it, make you think, oh, he's going to murder somebody or for somebody's.
Right.
I don't know. I think that he never learned to regulate his emotions appropriately, and he has entitlement issues, and he already was predisposed to these mental illnesses, whatever they were, because at this point, I don't think he's been diagnosed.
Right.
And that he exacerbated those, and no one checked his behavior.
Right.
And I think that's what the problem is.
Exactly.
I just don't. And that's why I'm terrified of raising an entitled son.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are very fortunate. We have a nice home. We have good jobs. Like, it would be so easy to let my kids just be assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Because who's going to stop them? And that is the fear of my life, because the answer is me.
Yeah.
If my son turns into a jerk when he becomes a teenager, just know that I will do my best to just destroy his self-confidence every day, if that's what it takes for him to just not grow up and be an asshole.
I mean,
I know that sounds really mean, but like, I can't. This can't be my kid. It can't be.
No. Yeah. This kind of behavior is just, it's, well, and okay. So there's all kind of stuff online about everything. Okay. So basically what we know, the pieces of evidence that we know are like the phone records, what we believe is his vehicle there.
Yeah.
His Amazon purchase history. He bought the fucking knife, the K-bar knife, the leather sheath, which matched the stuff. He bought all of that ahead of time on his fucking Amazon. Like, you can't pull Amazon records. It's just insane. So all of these things are there. The defense is like, yeah, well, but are we sure? And, all the things. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
We now know that he did not go to trial. He was supposed to go to trial in the fall. That did not happen.
Correct.
He ended up pleading guilty to save his own life, so that they would take the death penalty out of the equation. But there is also information going around, or theories, that he was an incel, which is involuntarily celibate, which essentially means women will not have sex with you. And the men who are in this, I don't know, category, community, whatever, they believe that is women's fault.
Yeah. They feel entitled to those kinds of interactions.
Yes. And the way that he behaved with women who he asked on dates and things like that lends itself to that. He did not take no for an answer. He would continue no matter what. He absolutely felt entitled to that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And he developed a hatred of women. And he did a lot of research on other people who committed heinous crimes. One of them being Elliot Rogers, who was also like, a major incel community.
Yeah, he was like, they get into that in the One Night in Idaho, and they kind of position it as that guy was like the martyr of the incel group. Like the people it was like in a Reddit group or something, wasn't it? Or maybe Discord. I don't know. It was in some sort of chat, essentially. And that they just idolized this guy because they were like, yeah, you show them that they can't mess with us and get away with it. And like, And y'all, there are people who support this.
Yes, 100%. And there are lots of people online who feel that same way. And it's like, look, if you can't get dates, the problem is not literally everybody else.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Like,
maybe try being emotionally available, putting somebody else's needs before your own, caring and considering, other people. Like, there are things that you can do. This narrative that women only want men that are 6 feet tall and make six figures and have 6-pack abs or whatever the fuck that is out there is so far from reality. Like, that is not what women are looking for. Like, it's just insane because the majority of men do not fit that criteria. Yet,
no, they don't.
Many women are still with men. So
exactly. And what they're looking for is, like you said, someone who is emotionally available, someone who is safe and stable. Honestly, just someone most of the time who's pleasant to be around, who's funny. Like,
exactly.
The bar, you guys, the bar's on the fucking floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
like, it's not hard
to villainize all women because you are not getting laid, which you believe you are entitled to.
Yeah.
It is creating this, where they don't view women as people.
Exactly.
And they also hate other men for taking from them what they believe is theirs.
Yes.
So there's a lot of that kind of culture and stuff going on. So eventually he ends up pleading guilty. So he doesn't have to, have the death penalty and all of the things.
Yeah.
I would say most of the public does believe that he's guilty. Like I said before, there are some people that don't.
Yeah.
There is, DNA and, all of these things. But there is also other DNA that was found in the house that doesn't match Bryan Kohberger. Also, this was a party house. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That would be, there is a lot that connects him to this case. There is more information and documents coming out. And like Nikita said, we will put out another episode at some point, just to kind of like consolidate all of that kind of information.
But to say that there's more DNA in the house that doesn't belong to him, like you said, this is a party house. Odds are they know the people like Jack, right? They thought Jack was implicated in this somehow. I'm sure his DNA is in that house. He used to date her. Not a month ago, he was dating her. You know what I mean? So like, I'm sure they could mark those things off. But the fact that Bryan Kohberger's DNA is there, they did not know him. It is known that they did not know him. So why in the hell is his DNA there? He didn't go to school there. He wasn't a known associate of any of those people.
Right.
He wasn't an Uber driver. He wasn't delivering. Like, he didn't work for Amazon. He wasn't dropping stuff off. Like, there are zero reasons that we have come up with for his DNA to be not only inside that residence, but anywhere around it. Why are you here, sir?
On a knife sheath.
Exactly.
That is left behind after they are stabbed to death.
Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No.
Not even a little bit. No.
No. And I don't know. Like, the whole thing pisses me off. And I know I said earlier that I would beat my son every day and like destroy his confidence. I hope you guys know that I was joking about that.
Yes.
I would not actually do that to my child, but it is important to me to raise a child that's not entitled. And I just feel like I need to say that before people yell at me online.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Come on, guys. The families have, started foundations in their loved ones' names. There are days that they have dedicated to them on their birthdays. The Made with Kindness Foundation was established and describes as, quote, stands as a beacon of hope, continuing the legacy of Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Goncalves by empowering others to be their best selves through self-awareness. The foundation helps raise money for scholarships for students, as well as funding programs that prioritize self-awareness, digital safety, and mental well-being. They also installed 2 benches at City Park in Coeur d'Alene with a beautiful view of the lake, and they're dedicated to Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. They all love the water. The other bench has a plaque dubbing it Bestie Bench with Kaylee and Maddie's names, followed by the hashtag It's a Forever Thing, something they used to always say. The tulip farm that Ethan and his brother and sister worked at created a special bulb mix in his honor, which is so sweet. I mean, all of it's so sweet, but consisting of yellow and white tulips, which symbolize joy and eternity. All of the proceeds benefit Ethan's Smile Foundation, which raises money for scholarships and helps building community gardens. The Kernodle family has also established a scholarship fund in their daughter's name, hoping to support more students at the University of Idaho. There is also a special sculpture to honor Kaylee, Xana, Maddie, and Ethan. And they did end up tearing down the house, the King Road house. There was a lot of like, should we, shouldn't we? But it did end up being demolished.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember, he was supposed to have a trial in the fall. That did not happen. So on July 2nd, 2025, he entered his guilty plea and he was sentenced on July the 23rd. The judge handed down 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole for the murders, along with a 10-year sentence for burglary. In addition, he was ordered to pay approximately $270,000 in fines and civil penalties, including $50,000 for each murder. During sentencing, Judge Stephen Hippler condemned Kohberger's actions, calling him a faceless coward and noting his complete lack of remorse. We still do not know the actual motive for the killings.
Yeah, I think we know the motive for the killings. And I think it's just that he felt entitled to these girls.
Yeah.
And I think he stalked them, and I think he took out his lack of ability to meet women on women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it just so happened that they were the ones.
Yeah.
I feel like it was probably, again, this is just purely my opinion, I feel like he probably saw them in passing somewhere. Their social medias were all public. I mean, if he had a social media, when you're in a certain area, like if you go to a new location, your algorithm will start showing you things from the area that you're in, right? Yeah. So there is a solid chance that he just came across them by chance one time and fixated on one or multiple of them because they were often in each other's social media. And I think that's how he found them.
Mm.
I think it was just purely by chance, and then he fixated.
Mm-hmm.
Because what other reason would there be for it to be them?
Right.
Because even though it was a crime of, it wasn't a crime of opportunity. Like he knew the house, he knew the layout of the house, he knew who was going to be, you know what I mean? Like there are certain things that he knew about them and that house that indicate that he was watching for some time.
Yeah.
He had obviously done some planning. So but I think the reason it was them is just purely that they caught his attention somehow.
Yeah.
And I think that's really scary and obviously horrific.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, because it's like, I mean, it's scary enough that somebody could do something like that, but it's even more terrifying that like, I've never met you. I've nothing to do with you. I've never done anything to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't guard against the monsters that you don't know are there.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying. But I did appreciate that the sentences were handed down consecutively. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you guys have talked about sentencing and that kind of stuff before, but like they can be concurrent or consecutive. And if they are concurrent, that means you serve them all at like the time you are serving now counts towards your time for all of them at the same time. And consecutive would be you have to serve one and then you start serving the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't always, I mean, it depends on sentencing guidelines, obviously, and like what's happening. But I did appreciate that because I did feel like it honored all of them in saying you're not serving time for this one specific overall thing that you did, but you are going to serve time for the horrific thing you did to each of them individually.
Yep.
Like this 10 years is for Kaylee. This 10 years is for Maddie. Like It doesn't take away what happened. And to him, it's going to be whatever.
Yeah. Because
however long he lives. But the point is, he's got to do it for each one.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're doing now doesn't count towards what the other things that you've done.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought that was appropriate.
I think so.
Also, I think he's a little bitch for taking a plea deal.
I mean, and the families, okay, so some of the families were okay with the plea deal. Some of them were not. You know, these are 4 different families. Some of them wanted to go through the trial and try to get more answers. And I completely understand both sides of that coin.
Yeah.
They were able to, because he was sentenced, they were able to give victim impact statements. And if you have, I mean, I'm sure you've seen clips of some of these online. Olivia Goncalves, which is Kaylee's sister.
She ate him up.
Oh my gosh. I mean, she said, it was just, and she was so strong when she said it, and he wouldn't look at anybody, of course.
No.
But
because
she said,
bitch.
Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. And she was like, that's why you had to kill her in her sleep, because she would have kicked your fucking ass. She called him delusional, pathetic, a hypochondriac loser. She called him basic in her remarks. She really honed in on, like, you had to do something to stand out, because the worst thing that you could be is in the background. The worst thing that you could be is not noticed. The worst thing that could happen to you is that you didn't fucking matter. So you had to do something to stand out, you know?
She found his insecurity and she went hard. And I was really like, good for you, girl. I think she said something at one point that the most remarkable thing about you is how absolutely unremarkable, or how absolutely average you are.
Yes. Yeah, she did.
And I was like, yes, girl, tell him.
And then I think their other sister, Aubrey, I don't think she got up and spoke, but she is the one that said, you may have gotten A's in high school, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison. And I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, girl. I appreciated their statements because those were the one. And I mean, everyone's statement was impactful, obviously, to everyone except him, because he fucking sucks. Although I do think Olivia really hammering in on how average and basic and fucking lame he is. I think that one probably got him more than any of them.
You could see him squirmy.
Yeah. And that was the only time I felt like. But I think Olivia and Aubrey's statements were the most impactful to me.
Yeah.
Because they felt the most like they were coming from Xana and Kaylee and like they felt like the ones that would have been in their voice. Like if they had been there to say it, it felt like what they would have said, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know.
For sure. Yeah. It was, and Olivia said in an interview, she was like, I was fully prepared to like get in a lot of trouble for that. I thought they were going to like arrest me or take me out of there or whatever, but they let her go. Like, and victim impact
they should have.
Yeah. They typically don't want you to speak directly to the defendant in that way.
Yeah.
I'm glad
but she like turned the podium, didn't she? Was like, excuse me, sir.
Yeah. She was like, no.
You will give me your full attention.
Yeah, we're here.
Eyes up here.
We're doing this.
Yeah. And good for her, because even though he's going to jail for the rest of his life, and you know that, and even though he is in custody and you know he cannot physically get to you and there's nothing he can do to you, that's still very intimidating, because you are literally looking at the man who has taken the life or the lives of people you let. Like that's scary. And it's scary that to see him sitting there being so unemotional when you have so many emotions. And so the fact that she was able to get up there and be confident and just say it.
Oh, yeah.
I was so impressed.
Yeah. You can see that they are definitely fiery women. That is for sure. And that's the way that they talked about Kaylee too. Like, absolute fiery. And then Xana's family did get up and speak. Madison's family did as well. Ethan's family didn't attend the sentencing. They did make a statement after. These are families that are, all of them, they are grieving. They are trying to move forward. They are trying to, you always hear people say, okay, well, do you have closure now because it's over? Like, they're never going to have closure.
No.
Closure is not a thing. But if
he got up there, even if Bryan Kohberger had gotten up there and given them detailed answers for every single question they have, it's still not closure because it doesn't make sense. There was no reason for it, and it's not bringing them back.
Exactly. And it's just, they just have to put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. And, the same for Dylan and Bethany, because they were in the house. They did survive. They have immense survivor's guilt. They don't understand why he didn't kill them and he killed the other people.
Exactly.
That's something they've got to live with, knowing that was happening. And they were in their rooms. Like, it's just, all of it is just terrible. And like we said, there is so much more to this case. There is still information coming out about it. We will continue to, update as like big information comes out and things like that. But that's where we are today. To make this be able to fit into a 2-parter, like there's a lot that we have to, take out, but that's kind of where it stands.
Yeah. And Bryan Kohberger is a bitch.
Sucks to suck, Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah. I have heard that he makes a lot of complaints in the prison about the food and the noise.
Oh, no.
And people aren't very nice to me.
Oh, no.
Like, who fucking cares, dude? I did see one, and I don't know if it's true or not, but allegedly, the inmates on his floor close to him in his cell supposedly had been at one point taking shifts of yelling and screaming and just like making noise in their cell at all hours. And these inmates work together because there is honor among thieves. Okay.
That's fucking
there is
teamwork.
A prison code of conduct. Yep. And they would literally take shifts of who was going to make noise on their floor through the vents so that he could not know peace. And you know what? I love that.
Mm-hmm. That is level
justice.
Of petty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Exactly. That is teamwork. That is how you band together.
Exactly. And the fact that he's still feeling entitled in prison, I'm entitled to be quiet and not be harassed by my cell floor mates. I want better food in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off, dude.
Sorry.
All the way.
Sorry. Yeah. So that's it. And let us know what you think. And, we'll see you next Tuesday.
We sure will.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like this episode, be sure to like this episode and follow the show so that you never miss out on new episodes. Get in on the conversation on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Killer Queens Pod, or you can join our Facebook discussion group at Killer Queens Podcast, where we discuss cases covered on the show and all things 90s. If you want to submit a case to be covered on the show, visit killerqueenspodcast.com/case submission and just complete the form. And if we cover the case, we'll give you a shout out on the show. Lilas.